Ever get the feeling someone can read your mind? Or at least your emotions?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're drawn to friends who just seem to understand your heart without you saying a word.
Yeah.
Well, you might be swimming in the wake of a Pisces.
What's captivating about Pisces is they're not just a water sign. They're the ocean of the zodiac. The last sign, like a grand finale, absorbing the lessons and energies of all those that came before.
Okay, so they're not just deep. They're practically Mariana Trench level deep. And today we're going deep ourselves with Pisces personality traits, Zodiac fusion.
Love that source. It really gets into the nitty-gritty of what makes a Pisces unique, but in a way that even someone new to astrology can grasp.
Perfect, because we're covering it all. The good, the challenging, how they click or clash in relationships. And I got to know, what does it actually mean when a sign is ruled by water? Asking for a friend who might cry at Hallmark commercials.
Well, water signs are known for being in tune with their feelings, but it's more than just being sensitive. Imagine emotions like currents in the ocean, powerful, sometimes unpredictable, influencing everything around them. That's Pisces.
So they pick up on those vibes, but they also send out their own strong currents. No wonder they're so good at understanding people. They're practically speaking the same emotional language.
Exactly. And that deep connection to their own feelings allows for incredible empathy. If a Pisces is your friend, they're not just lending an ear, they're feeling it right alongside you.
Makes sense why they're often drawn to creative pursuits. Our source talks about this a lot. But it's not just about being the next Picasso.
Right. That creative energy can flow into any field. Think outside-the-box solutions at work, a knack for interior design, even just making everyday life feel a little more magical. It's about seeing the world through a different lens.
And that probably explains why a Pisces can make even the most mundane tasks feel profound. They're finding the beauty in the everyday, right?
Precisely. But this sensitivity is also where some of their challenges arise. Remember those powerful ocean currents?
Yeah.
If a Pisces isn't careful, they can get pulled under by their own emotions or overwhelmed by those around them.
So it's a superpower that needs some serious self-care instructions. Like, how do you navigate a world that doesn't always understand your depth?
That's where learning to set healthy boundaries becomes crucial for Pisces. And that's a theme we'll definitely be diving into deeper throughout this episode.
We've been talking about Pisces' deep well of emotions, which, as our source, Pisces personality traits, Zodiac Fusion points out, can be both a blessing and a challenge. It's like they have access to this incredible emotional intelligence, but it needs the right container to really thrive.
Oh, a great way to visualize this is to think about water again. In its natural form, water is fluid, adaptable, life-giving, but without something to hold it, to give it shape, it just disperses.
So how does a Pisces build those containers, those boundaries,
Yeah.
to harness their emotional depth?
It starts with self-awareness. Our source emphasizes the importance of a Pisces understanding their own emotional patterns. For example, are there certain people or environments that leave them feeling completely drained? Identifying those triggers is the first step.
Like learning your own personal emotional weather patterns. Okay, so once you're aware of your triggers, what then? How do you actually set those boundaries?
It can be as simple as saying no more often, prioritizing self-care, even creating physical space for solitude when needed. Remember, this isn't about shutting people out. It's about protecting your own energy so you can show up as the best version of yourself.
Which makes total sense, because when a Pisces is feeling balanced and energized, their creativity really shines. And our source mentions some pretty fascinating examples of famous Pisces throughout history.
Absolutely. We often think of Pisces as artists in the traditional sense, painters like Michelangelo or musicians like Rihanna, but their creative expression can manifest in countless ways. Think about Albert Einstein, a Pisces known for his groundbreaking scientific theories. That's Pisces energy at its finest, thinking outside the box, connecting dots that others might miss.
It's like they're tapping into a different frequency, one that allows them to see possibilities where others see limitations. And that adaptability, that ability to go with the flow, that's got to be a major asset in today's world.
It absolutely is, as long as it's balanced with those healthy boundaries we talked about. Because the flip side of adaptability is that a Pisces can sometimes find themselves morphing to fit other people's expectations rather than honoring their own needs.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between being adaptable and being true to themselves.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Right, definitely. And this is where another classic Pisces trait comes into play: indecisiveness. Now we can laugh about it. Oh, Pisces can never decide where to eat. But it goes much deeper than that.
Oh, I'm sure there's a whole emotional matrix they're running through just to choose an appetizer. But seriously, What's at the root of this indecisiveness?
Often it stems from that deep empathy we were talking about earlier. They're considering everyone else's feelings, every possible outcome,
Mm.
which can be completely overwhelming. And they also have a deep-seated fear of disappointing others.
So for a Pisces, making a decision isn't just about what they want. It's about trying to create the most harmonious outcome for everyone involved, no
Oh.
wonder it takes them a while.
Exactly. And this is why having those strong boundaries is so crucial. It allows them to create space for their own needs and desires in the decision-making process.
It's about finding that balance between their inner world and the demands of the outer world. And speaking of the inner world, our source talks about the importance of escapism for a Pisces. But before we conjure up images of a Pisces disappearing into a fantasy novel forever, let's clarify what that actually means. So we were just talking about that whole escapism thing for Pisces. It's almost like a bad word, but our source, Pisces personality traits, Zodiac fusion, makes it make a lot more sense.
Totally. It's less like running away and more like, when a deep-sea diver needs to come up for air?
Yeah.
It's like that. Pisces needs time to decompress from all those intense emotions they pick up from everywhere around them.
So it's less about escaping reality and more about reconnecting with their own reality, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Self-preservation, not avoidance. And it's in those quiet times alone. That's when their creativity really gets going. They might disappear into a book, get lost in music, or even just being near water. Their element.
Right.
Those aren't distractions, they're how they recharge.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. And I bet understanding that need for quiet time is huge when it comes to Pisces relationships. Speaking of, our source gets into compatibility. And I'm ready for the Astro Tea.
Okay, let's start with one of the most harmonious matches for Pisces. Cancer.
Two water signs. Makes total sense. But what is it about that combo that just works?
It's like they speak the same language emotionally, but like on a soul level.
Whoa.
Both are intuitive, compassionate, nurturing. There's just this natural understanding and acceptance in a Cancer-Pisces relationship that lets them both just be themselves.
It's giving safe haven, like a cozy cabin by the ocean, rainstorm raging outside, but you're both just curled up inside, feeling your feelings.
I love that. And then there's Scorpio. Now, this is where things get a little more intense. In a transformative way, definitely. Both Pisces and Scorpio crave depth. Emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, they're not afraid to go there, to those shadowy parts in themselves and each other. And that can create a bond that's incredibly powerful, magnetic even.
Okay, so Cancer is for the emotional soulmates, Scorpio's for a deep dive into the mysteries of existence.
Got it. Any other signs that do well with our Pisces friends?
Oh, for sure. Our source points to Taurus as a grounding force for Pisces. Taurus is all about stability, sensuality, appreciating the good things in life, and they can really help ground that Pisces dreaminess, bring a little practicality to their world. Nice counterbalance. What about pairings that might be a little trickier to navigate?
Right. Well, Geminis, for all their wit and charm, can sometimes feel a little superficial to a Pisces who's really looking for that emotional depth. Geminis are all about communication, mental stimulation, while Pisces wants that soul connection.
So not that a Gemini-Pisces relationship is impossible, but they'd really have to work at bridging that gap.
Exactly. And then you've got Sagittarius, the free spirit, the adventurer of the Zodiac. That one can be a challenge because Sagittarius values their independence, wants to be constantly exploring, while Pisces is looking for security and emotional stability in a relationship.
So finding that balance between freedom and commitment would be key. But as always, we are dealing in broad strokes here.
Right. Individual charts and life experiences make a huge difference. And don't forget about free will. Astrology can offer insights. But at the end of the day, we all choose our own adventures in love and life.
And speaking of adventures, we can't forget about those Pisces friendships. Our source raves about Cancer again, calls them ultimate best friend goals. Color me shocked.
It's that shared emotional language again, and that deep well of empathy. They just get each other. Think endless heart-to-hearts, unwavering support, a bond that's more like family than friendship.
So sweet. And Scorpio makes another appearance on the best friend list, but with a slightly different energy this time.
Yeah, so the romantic connection is intense, passionate, but the friendship is about exploring the hidden parts of life together. Late Night talks about philosophy, spirituality, a shared love of mystery, and this deep, unshakable loyalty.
Like having a partner in crime for all your deep thoughts. Before we wrap up our Pisces deep dive, any parting words for navigating the waters of this amazing sign?
If you've got a Pisces in your life, cherish their empathy, nurture their creativity, and encourage them to set healthy boundaries. Remember, Their sensitivity is a superpower. And the world needs more people like that, more compassion, more understanding, don't you think?
You know it. So
Yeah.
the next time you meet a Pisces, remember there's a whole ocean under the surface, just waiting to be explored. You might just discover a depth and a beauty that takes your breath away.